Thank you for joining me again. Today, in this first program of the report on Trump, I am going to be reading what is numbered as report number 80. I should tell you something about the format of all these reports. They all come with confidential/sensitive source on the top of every page. This particular one is called Company Intelligence Report 2016-080. U.S. presidential election. Republican candidate Donald Trump's activities in Russia and compromising relationship with the Kremlin. Every one of the reports is divided into 2 or even 3 parts. The first part is always a summary. The third part is detail. The second part is detail. And if there is a third part, it's called company comment. First, the summary. Russian regime has been cultivating, supporting, and assisting Trump for at least 5 years. Aim, endorsed by Putin, has been to encourage splits and divisions in Western alliance. So far, Trump has declined various sweetener real estate business deals offered him in Russia in order to further the Kremlin's cultivation of him. However, he and his inner circle have accepted a regular flow of intelligence from the Kremlin, including on his Democratic and other political rivals. Former top Russian intelligence officer claims FSB, that's the Federalная служба безопасности, which is fancy, that's the Russian for the name of the agency that has superseded the KGB. So the FSB is really the same thing as the old KGB, beloved by you and me. Former top Russian intelligence officer claims FSB has compromised Trump through his activities in Moscow sufficiently to be able to blackmail him. According to several knowledgeable sources, his conduct in Moscow has included perverted sexual acts which have been arranged or monitored by the FSB. A dossier of compromising material on Hillary Clinton has been collated by the Russian intelligence services over many years and mainly comprises bugged conversations she had on various visits to Russia and intercepted phone calls rather than any embarrassing conduct. The dossier is controlled by Kremlin spokesman Peskov directly on Putin's orders. However, it has not yet been distributed abroad, including to Trump. Russian intentions for its deployment are still unclear. And now the detail for those things that were just summarized. Number 1, speaking to a trusted compatriot in June 2016, sources A and B, a senior Russian foreign ministry figure, and a top-level Russian intelligence officer still active inside the Kremlin, respectively, the Russian authorities had been cultivating and supporting U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump for at least 5 years. Source B asserted that the Trump operation was both supported and directed by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Its aim was to sow discord and disunity, both within the United States itself, but most importantly within the transatlantic alliance, which was viewed as inimical to Russia's interests. Source C, a senior Russian financial official, said the Trump operation should be seen in terms of Putin's desire to return to 19th century so-called great power politics, anchored upon countries' interests, rather than the ideals-based international order established after World War II. She or he had overheard Putin talking in this way to close associates on several occasions. In other words, it is encouraging the old-fashioned nationalism of which we have now heard Trump declare his intent. This is America first, and to hell with the alliance. Number 2, in terms of specifics, Source A confided that the Kremlin had been feeding Trump and his team valuable intelligence on his opponents, including Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, for several years, and then parenthesis, see more below. This was confirmed by source D, a close associate of Trump. Source D, a close associate of Trump, who had organized and managed his recent trips to Moscow, and who reported also in June of 2016 that this Russian intelligence had been, quote, very helpful. The Kremlin's cultivation operation on Trump also had compromised offering him various this is not a sentence. The Kremlin's cultivation operation on Trump also had compromised offering him various lucrative real estate development business deals in Russia, especially in relation to the ongoing 2018 World Cup soccer tournament. However, so far, for reasons unknown, Trump had not taken up any of these. 3. However, there were other aspects to Trump's engagement with the Russian authorities. One which had borne fruit for them was to exploit Trump's personal obsessions and sexual perversions in order to obtain suitable compromising material on him. According to source D, remember this is the close associate of Trump, where she or he had been present, Trump's perverted conduct in Moscow included hiring the presidential suite of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, where he knew President and Mrs. Obama, whom he hated, had stayed on one of their official trips to Russia, and defiling the bed where they had slept by employing a number of prostitutes to perform a, quote, golden showers, in other words, urination, show in front of him. The hotel was known to be under FSB control, with microphones and concealed cameras in all the main rooms to record anything they wanted to. Number 4. The Moscow Ritz-Carlton episode involving Trump, reported above, was confirmed by source E, and then the rest of the line is blacked out, who said that she or he and several of the staff were aware of it at the time, and subsequently. She or he believed it had happened in 2013. Source E provided an introduction for a company ethnic Russian operative to source F, a female staffer at the hotel when Trump had stayed there, who also confirmed the story. Speaking separately in June of 2016, source B, the former top-level Russian intelligence officer, perhaps the one who was just arrested, asserted that Trump's unorthodox behavior in Russia over the years had provided the authorities there with enough embarrassing material on the now Republican presidential candidate to be able to blackmail him if they so wished. 5. Asked about the Kremlin's reported intelligence feed to Trump over recent years and rumors about a Russian dossier of compromat, Hillary Clinton, being circulated, source B confirmed that the file's existence, she or he confided in a trusted compatriot that it had been collated by Department K of the FSB for many years, dating back to her husband Bill's presidency, and comprised mainly eavesdropped conversations of various sorts rather than details or evidence of unorthodox or embarrassing behavior. Some of the conversations were from bugged comments Clinton had made on her various trips to Russia and focused on things she had said which contradicted her current positions on various issues. Others were most probably from phone intercepts. And then 6, the last one, continuing on this theme, source G, a senior Kremlin official, confided that the Clinton dossier was controlled exclusively by Chief Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, who was responsible for compiling or handling it on the explicit instructions of Putin himself. The dossier, however, had not as yet been made available abroad, including to Trump or his campaign team. At present, it was unclear what Putin's intentions were in this regard. And that was dated 20 of June 2016. Thank you for watching, and tune in to my next program.